Welcome to Dev Trends on the Go. Today's Qiita picks. It is July 13th, 2026, and we are ready for a deep dive into the source material regarding the structural shifts happening in software engineering right now.
Yeah, and this show is, perfectly paced for your commute or just having on in the background while you're multitasking. We actually have a massive amount of ground to cover today.
We really do. But first, a quick note on our sources. All the trends and articles we are analyzing today come directly from Qiita.
Right, and for our global listeners, Qiita is basically one of Japan's most popular knowledge-sharing platforms for software engineers.
Exactly. You can think of it as the Japanese developer community's equivalent of dev.to or Medium. It gives us this really fantastic ground-level lens into what is actually working in production environments right now.
Oh, and real quick, please take like 30 seconds to subscribe and like the show on whatever platform you are listening on. It really helps us out, and it ensures you never miss these daily updates.
All right, let us get into the first major trend dominating Qiita right now, which is, well, it's a complete evolution in the daily routine of a developer.
Yeah, because we aren't just asking AI to write a random function anymore, right? We're integrating it into the core of the development lifecycle.
Spot on. A great example of this comes from a piece by a user named Tom Panasonic, who details how developers are offloading these highly complex tasks to AI. Things like primary Q&A drafts for external teams or doing pull request reviews from very specific angles like security.
Wait, let me make sure I'm getting this. So you mean the AI is reading the entire project context at once? That sounds a lot like a new team member who can instantly digest, every onboarding document and Slack thread in a single second.
That is exactly what it's like. But the secret to making it work without the AI hallucinating garbage is how teams structure the reference data. They use a process called RAG. RAG just means letting the AI read highly specific reference material before it formulates an answer.
Oh, okay. So they're feeding it things like architecture decision records alongside the source code.
Right. It understands the why behind the code, not just the what. And that capability is expanding rapidly into testing, which brings us to an incredible update detailed by Nana777 about the AWS DevOpsAgent.
Oh, I saw this. It recently achieved general availability, right?
It did, and it is completely changing CI/CD. Instead of just running pre-written static tests, the agent dynamically generated brand new tests for a specific file that had absolutely zero existing test coverage.
Wait, really? It just went hunting for logic flaws on its own?
Yeah. It autonomously spun up a completely isolated Docker database to test the application, and it actually found an IDOR vulnerability, proving the flaw existed without any human intervention.
Okay, that is wild. But for anyone who hasn't dealt with that specific flaw recently, what exactly is an IDOR vulnerability?
An IDOR just means a security flaw where someone can access another user's private data simply by guessing their ID number in a web address.
I see. So if the URL says receipt ID equals 50 and I just manually change it to 51, the server just hands over someone else's private receipt.
Precisely, because it never bothered to check your authorization token against that new ID. The AI figured out that gap existed, populated a database, and proved it. If you are a tech lead or a QA engineer, this is a huge development. It completely scales your review processes.
Yeah, because AI is shifting from a simple coding tool to an autonomous reviewer and tester. But that brings up a pretty critical issue.
Safety.
Exactly. Yeah. If an AI is poking around production-like environments, testing vulnerabilities, and spinning up databases, it needs strict boundaries.
Yeah.
What is stopping it from accidentally dropping a production table?
That is the next major theme on Qiita. We have a fascinating take on this from Tatsura582, who points out how a 15-year-old book called The Agile Samurai is suddenly highly relevant again.
I love when old paradigms map perfectly to new tech. But how does a book from 15 years ago help us put guardrails on an AI agent?
Well, the book's advice on the physical cost of building software is outdated now, sure, but its rules on team alignment are perfect for controlling AI. It focuses on establishing what they call ubiquitous language, which just means creating a mandatory glossary so that everyone on the project, including the AI, uses the exact same terms for things, preventing messy code translation.
Oh, that sounds a lot like putting up the bumpers at a bowling alley so the ball doesn't go in the gutter. It's a strict contract.
It is. If the AI encounters a term outside that contract, it throws an error and stops. But a glossary won't stop a rogue command if the AI decides to rewrite a core library. You still need physical safety.
Right, so how do we ensure physical safety for the system if the AI actually goes rogue?
An article by Kukyosume addresses exactly that. They introduce a tool called H5i, which creates an ultra-fast, isolated Git worktree sandbox in just 0.2 seconds.
Wait, 0.2 seconds. Why is a normal sandbox or virtual machine too slow for this?
Normally, cloning a repository takes time because you duplicate the entire heavy history of the project, but H5i leverages Git worktrees, meaning it checks out files instantaneously without copying data. It just isolates the memory and processes entirely.
So the AI gets this totally isolated scratch pad to run code, fail, and cause chaos. But it cannot risk the main environment.
Spot on. And to ensure the instructions you give the AI in that sandbox are actually safe, the sources also highlight a tool called Darwin's Skill. It evaluates the quality of the AI's instruction files, the agent skills using a 9-dimension rubric to ensure commands are explicitly safe.
Oh, wow. I can see this being incredibly useful for platform engineers or, anyone wrangling AI agents right now.
Definitely. The old rules of human discipline are basically becoming the strict code of conduct for our AI tools.
That makes total sense. But if we are moving this fast and the AI is churning out code safely, what happens to the documentation? Keeping track of all this seems impossible.
You just hit on the third major trend, which is beating knowledge rot. Even with safe, fast AI, the speed of development causes a new problem: information rotting. An article by Yamada Ino highlights this perfectly.
Oh man, documentation drift is just relentless. Let me guess. They generate a bunch of docs and they instantly went out of date.
You nailed it. The author used an AI agent to generate 83 pieces of product documentation in 2 hours. But just 4 days later, a tiny UI update made all those new docs completely obsolete.
Yeah, docs drift is real. And docs drift just means what happens when the actual software gets updated, but the instruction manual gets left behind.
Exactly. The solution Yamada Ino proposes is making the source code the single source of truth. It forces the AI to check the live code rather than static files.
So you're saying it doesn't read a wiki at all. It just parses the actual live code structure every time you ask it how the app works.
Yes, exactly. The documentation is generated on the fly, directly from reality.
But if the code and the documentation are changing at this hyperspeed, how does the speed actually change the business itself? I mean, it's like a restaurant changing its menu faster than it can print new ones.
That is a great analogy, and AWS actually has a concept for this called AI-driven business process reengineering, or AI BPR. Har1101 wrote a great article on it. Instead of just using AI to cut costs, companies are redesigning workflows entirely.
Really? Redesigning the whole workflow.
Yeah. Humans are shifting entirely to the plan and see phases, which means strategy and review. Meanwhile, the AI takes over the do phase, handling the actual execution.
Oh, I see. So if a ramen shop's true strength is customer service, you don't use AI to replace the waiters. You use AI to automate sourcing ingredients so the humans can focus 100% on the customers.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. This segment is vital for engineering managers and product owners who are redesigning workflows right now. You have to build systems that automatically sync with reality so humans can focus on strategy instead of execution.
Which brings up a really massive question for me. If AI is taking over the do phase of execution, it creates kind of an existential crisis for early career developers.
It really does. It's a huge shift in how we learn.
Right, because traditionally we learn by doing. If AI writes the code and I don't, how do I actually build my skills? Like, will I have anything to offer in 5 years?
That is the exact anxiety a user named Prum detailed in their article. Junior engineers are literally freezing up during progress reports out of fear of AI replacing them.
I totally get that fear. So what is the survival guide here?
Well, the Japanese developer community tackled this at an event called the Kinoko Conference. And just for context for our global listeners, the Japanese word kinoko literally means mushroom. But here it's a play on the word ikinokaru, which means surviving in a harsh environment.
Oh, that's clever. So it was an event specifically focused on long-term career survival for engineers. What was the consensus?
The consensus from veteran engineers was to stop chasing temporary AI prompt hacks. Stop trying to memorize how to talk to a specific model because the models change too fast.
Okay, so if I'm not learning prompt engineering, what am I learning?
You focus entirely on core computer science fundamentals, algorithms, data structures, and security principles, because the AI will generate the syntax, right? It can write the boilerplate.
Right. So the human's value is purely in having the foundational knowledge to spot an architectural flaw or a security gap that the AI missed.
Precisely. You cannot review what you don't fundamentally understand. If you are a junior engineer, a bootcamp grad, or really anyone feeling AI anxiety, this is essential listening.
That is incredibly reassuring. The tools will constantly change, but strong foundational knowledge is basically the ultimate career armor.
It really is. And that perfectly sets up a final provocative thought I want to leave you with today. As AI handles the mundane execution, the true measure of a great developer is no longer how fast they can type out code.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's really about how well they can clearly articulate the problem they are trying to solve. So ask yourself today, are your problem-solving skills as sharp as your syntax skills used to be?
That is a great question to reflect on. And hey, please remember to subscribe and like the show. We have a brand new episode of Dev Trends on the Go waiting for you tomorrow.
Have a great day and happy coding.
Have a great day and happy coding.